Kyiv, Ukraine. March 1987. In the Soviet Union, schools were supposed to be the safest places on earth. They were the temples of the future. Parents sent their children to school number 16 expecting them to learn math and history, to eat a hot lunch and to come home safe. But in the spring of 1987, the students and staff of school number 16 began to drop like flies. It started with nausea, then crippling pain in the legs. Then the most terrifying symptom of all, their hair began to fall out in clumps. Within days, 4 people were dead and 9 were fighting for their lives in intensive care. Doctors were baffled. Was it a new strain of the flu? A radioactive leak from nearby Chernobyl, which had exploded just a year prior? No. The radiation Geiger counters were silent. The invisible killer was sitting right there in the kitchen. Her name was Tamara Ivanyutina. She was a dishwasher. A quiet, unobtrusive woman who scrubbed plates for a living. But in her mind she was a god. She had the power to decide who lived and who died. And her price for a human life? A black Volga car. This is the story of the Kyiv poisoner. A woman who, along with her entire family, turned murder into a family business. A woman so cold, so devoid of empathy, that she became one of the last 3 women ever executed by firing squad in the Soviet Union. Welcome to a story about the true banality of evil. To understand the panic that gripped the Podol district of Kyiv, we have to look at the timeline. It was March 18, 1987. Several students and staff members visited the school nurse complaining of weakness. It looked like the flu. But within hours, their condition deteriorated rapidly. They couldn't walk. Their limbs felt heavy, as if filled with lead. They were rushed to the hospital. Among the victims were 2 adults and 2 children. Natalia Kukurenko, the school's diet nurse, the woman responsible for food quality. Ivan Martinenko, a 10-year-old boy, and 2 others. Despite the best efforts of the doctors, they died in agony. Their hearts simply stopped. The panic in Kyiv was palpable. Remember, this is 1987. The shadow of Chernobyl, 1986, still hung over the city. When people saw children losing their hair, their first thought was, radiation. It's happening again. The KGB and the police, militia, were immediately involved. They cordoned off the school. Scientists in hazmat suits swept the building. But the radiation levels were normal. They tested the water. Normal. They tested the air. Normal. Then a toxicologist made a breakthrough. He looked at the pattern of the hair loss, alopecia, and the specific complaints of burning feet. This wasn't radiation. This was heavy metal poisoning. Specifically, thallium. Thallium is a rare, highly toxic metal. It is tasteless, odorless, and dissolves easily in water. Historically, it was used in rat poison, but by the 1980s, it was strictly controlled. How did a rare industrial poison end up in the buckwheat soup of a primary school? The investigators realized this wasn't an accident. This was an intentional act of mass murder. They locked down the kitchen. They began to interrogate the staff. The cooks, the cleaners, the dishwashers. Most of them were terrified, crying, worried about the children. But one woman stood out. She wasn't crying. She was annoyed. She complained that the investigation was making her late. She seemed more concerned about her schedule than the dead bodies. That woman was Tamara Ivanyutina. Who was Tamara Ivanyutina? On the surface she was a nobody. A dishwasher. In the Soviet hierarchy this was a low-status job. But Tamara didn't act like a servant. She walked with her head high. She was arrogant. Colleagues later described her as touchy and vengeful. If you crossed her she wouldn't scream. She would just stare. And then something bad would happen to you. The lead investigator noticed a discrepancy. When the police asked for a list of all kitchen staff, the head chef mentioned that the diet nurse, Natalia Kukurenko, one of the first victims, had been in a conflict with Tamara. The conflict? Simple theft. In the Soviet era of deficits, kitchen staff often stole food. Meat, butter, oranges. It was a way to survive. But Tamara was stealing aggressively. She was taking huge portions of meat meant for the children to feed her pigs at home. Natalia Kukurenko, the diet nurse, had caught her. She threatened to report Tamara. She tried to enforce the rules. 2 days later, Natalia Kukurenko was dead. This was the spark. The police decided to search Tamara's apartment. Tamara lived in a private house with her parents. When the police arrived, they expected to find stolen meat. And they did. But they also found something else. Hidden in a small makeup bag tucked away in a sewing machine was a small, heavy vial of liquid. It was Clerici Solution. For those who don't know, Clerici Solution is a specialized chemical used in geology to separate minerals by density. It is an extremely concentrated solution of thallium formate and thallium malonate. It is one of the most toxic liquids known to man. A few drops are enough to kill an adult. Why would a dishwasher have a high-grade geological reagent in her sewing kit? Tamara's reaction to the discovery was chilling. She didn't panic. She didn't deny it. She simply shrugged. She thought she could bribe her way out of it, or that her connections would save her. But when the lab results came back confirming that the liquid in her house matched the poison in the children's bodies, the handcuffs clicked. And that is when the police pulled the thread. They thought they had caught a lone killer who poisoned her boss out of spite. But when they looked into Tamara's past and the past of her parents, they realized that school number 16 was just the tip of the iceberg. They hadn't just found a killer. They had found a dynasty of death. When investigators looked at Tamara's family tree, they realized that the apple didn't fall far from the tree. It fell from a poisoned branch. Tamara was born into the Maslenko family. Her parents, Anton and Maria Maslenko, were not ordinary Soviet citizens. They were deeply, pathologically greedy. They worked in geological exploration parties. This is the key detail. This is where they obtained the Clerici Solution. 4 years, Anton and Maria Maslenko had been stealing small amounts of this deadly liquid from the laboratory. But they didn't take it to sell it. They took it just in case. Just in case they needed to solve a problem. The philosophy of the Maslenko family was terrifyingly simple. They believed that the world was divided into two categories: us, the family, and them, enemies/obstacles. Anton Maslenko taught his daughters, Tamara and Nina, a life lesson that sounds like something out of a mafia movie, but stripped of any honor. He reportedly told them, "You don't need to write complaints or argue with people. You treat them to some food, and the problem goes away." To them, murder wasn't a sin. It was a tool. It was like using a hammer to fix a nail. If a neighbor was annoying, you didn't call the police. You poisoned his soup. If a husband was stingy, you didn't divorce him. You poisoned his tea. Tamara absorbed this lesson perfectly. She was obsessed with status. In the grim reality of the 1980s USSR, she had one burning desire. She didn't want love. She didn't want world peace. She wanted a black Volga JZ-24. At that time, a black Volga was the ultimate symbol of power. It was the car of party officials and the mafia. For a dishwasher to own one was an impossible dream. But Tamara decided she would get it, no matter how many people she had to bury to save up the money. And the family supported her. They were a pack of wolves living in a panel apartment block. Once the police started connecting the dots, they exhumed bodies. And the results were shocking. The school number 16 incident wasn't the start of the killing spree. It was the finale. The first husband, Tamara married a truck driver. He was a good man. He had an apartment in Kyiv. Tamara wanted that apartment for herself. She didn't want to share it. Soon after the wedding, he suddenly got sick. His legs failed. His hair fell out. He died. Tamara inherited the apartment. She sold his truck. The money went into the Volga fund. The second husband's parents, she remarried. Her new father-in-law and mother-in-law lived with them. They were old. In Tamara's eyes, they were taking up space and eating food that cost money. One by one, they died with the same mysterious symptoms. Tamara solidified her control over the property. Her second husband, Oleg, luckily survived, but he had dangerously high levels of thallium in his blood. He later admitted that his wife was very insistent that he eat all his food. The neighbor, but the most terrifying murder wasn't for money. It was for spite. Tamara's parents, the Maslenkos, had a neighbor in their communal apartment. This neighbor had an elderly relative who liked to watch TV. The Maslenkos thought the TV was too loud. Did they knock on the door? Did they ask him to turn it down? No. Maria Maslenko, the mother, prepared some old lady pancakes. She laced them with Clerici Solution. She knocked on the neighbor's door and said, "Here, treat yourself." The neighbor ate them. He died in agony. The TV went silent. Problem solved. The sister, Tamara's sister Nina, was also using the poison. She poisoned her husband because she wanted to get rid of him. She was 40 years old, he was older, and she wanted a younger man. Why go through a messy divorce when you have a magic vial in the cupboard? It is estimated that over the course of 11 years, the family poisoned at least 40 people. 13 of them died. The others were left disabled for life. And for what? For an apartment. For a quiet evening. For pig feed. For a car that she never bought. When the investigators confronted Tamara with this list of corpses, she didn't show remorse. She was angry. What? Because the police confiscated her Volga fund. She told the investigator, "I don't regret anything. My only regret is that I didn't get to buy my black Volga." She also had a chilling quote about the children she poisoned at the school. When asked why she poisoned the kids, who had nothing to do with the conflict with the diet nurse, she allegedly said, "I just wanted to see what would happen." Or in some accounts, "They were jumping around and making noise. They gave me a headache." This level of psychopathy is rare. Usually, serial killers have a specific type of victim or a specific ritual. Tamara Ivanyutina was an opportunistic exterminator. She killed anyone, anywhere for any reason. The trial of the Kyiv poisoners began in 1988. It was one of the most sensational court cases in the history of the Ukrainian SSR. In the dock sat the entire family: Tamara Ivanyutina, the mastermind; Nina Maslenko, her sister; Anton and Maria Maslenko, the parents. The press called them the family of monsters. The courtroom was packed. The parents of the dead children from school number 16 sat in the front rows, holding photos of their sons and daughters. They wanted to look the killers in the eye. But the Maslenkos didn't look down in shame. They looked bored. They looked annoyed that they were being inconvenienced. Anton Maslenko, the father who taught his daughters that murder was a solution, tried to play the senile old man card. Maria Maslenko, the mother who poisoned a neighbor over a TV volume, tried to blame everything on Tamara. But the evidence was overwhelming. The chemical analysis, the confessions, the sheer number of bodies. The court didn't show mercy. The verdicts: Nina Maslenko, the sister, was sentenced to 15 years in prison. Maria Maslenko, the mother, was sentenced to 13 years. Anton Maslenko, the father, was sentenced to 10 years. He died in prison shortly after. But for Tamara Ivanyutina, the judge had a different decision. The prosecutor argued that she was a danger to society that could never be rehabilitated. She had killed children. She had killed husbands. She had killed friends. And she showed zero remorse. When the judge asked her if she had anything to say in her defense, she didn't apologize. She reportedly complained about the prison food. The judge read the sentence: the exceptional measure of punishment, execution by firing squad. A gasp went through the courtroom. In the Soviet Union, executing women was incredibly rare. Since the death of Stalin, only 3 women are officially known to have been executed. Antonina Makarova, Tanya the machine gunner, a Nazi collaborator who executed 1,500 people. Bertha Borodkina, Iron Bella, a corrupt trade official. Tamara Ivanyutina, the dishwasher from Kyiv. Tamara was shocked. She didn't believe it. She thought that because she was a woman she would get 15 years max. She thought she would serve her time and come out to buy her Volga. She wrote appeals. She begged for clemency. She claimed she was pregnant, a lie. She claimed she was insane. But the psychiatrists had already examined her. Their verdict: sane. She knew exactly what she was doing. She wasn't crazy, she was just evil. In 1987 or early 1990, sources vary on the exact date of execution, but the sentence was final. Tamara Ivanyutina was led into a basement room in a Kyiv prison. A prosecutor read the rejection of her appeal. And then a single shot was fired into the back of her head. The Kyiv poisoner was dead. The case of Tamara Ivanyutina is a terrifying study in what Hannah Arendt called the banality of evil. Tamara wasn't a Hannibal Lecter. She wasn't a genius supervillain with a complex philosophy. She was a petty, small-minded woman who simply wanted things. She wanted a bigger apartment. She wanted a car. She wanted pigs that were fat. She wanted silence. Most people deal with these desires by working harder, or by complaining, or by negotiating. Tamara dealt with them by killing. To her, a human life was worth less than a few kilograms of stolen meat. This is what makes her scarier than most serial killers. You can't spot a Tamara Ivanyutina in a crowd. She doesn't look like a monster. She looks like the woman standing next to you in line at the grocery store. She looks like the lady washing dishes in your child's cafeteria. She represents the darkest side of human envy. The idea that, if you have something I want and you are in my way, I have the right to remove you. The black Volga became a symbol of her soul, a dark, shiny object that she chased into the grave, destroying everyone around her. The legacy, school number 16 in Kyiv, still operates today. The memory of the tragedy has faded with time, but for the families of the victims, the pain never went away. The case also changed how the USSR handled toxic substances. The controls on thallium and other laboratory chemicals were tightened drastically. The Clerici Solution, that sat in a makeup bag for years, would never be so easy to steal again. As we close this file, we are left with the chilling words of her father, Anton Maslenko. You don't need to argue with people. You treat them to some food. It is a reminder that sometimes the worst monsters aren't hiding under the bed. They are sitting at the kitchen table, smiling and passing you a plate of soup. That was the story of Tamara Ivanyutina and the Maslenko family. It's a story that makes you look twice at your food, isn't it? What strikes you most about this case? Was it the pettiness of the motives? Or the fact that an entire family participated in the murders? Let me know in the comments below. If you want more deep dives into the criminal history of the Soviet Union, hit that like button and subscribe. We have many more secrets to uncover. Stay safe and watch what you eat.